Hello, I'm Fahey from Business Station, and welcome to Automating Your Workflow with Monday. So Monday is a platform designed to manage workflow, and you can use it to create different boards, manage your staff, use it to fill in forms and set up tasks. And I'm going to be showing you how to use it today in detail. Background on that is at the start of the year, I used Monday in my own business to automate my workflow from where I was working about 50 hours a week down to 5, just for using all the systems and functions of Monday. So this workshop is proudly brought to you by Business Station as part of the Digital Solutions Program, which is a Commonwealth Government initiative. For those of you that are attending and watching this live, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the chat and the question and answer function. Use those if you have any questions at any point in time during my webinar today. For those of you that are watching this online later, feel free to jump on to the comments, leave me a couple of questions. I occasionally do check it. Otherwise, get in touch with me directly at Business Station. So the first thing we have to look at is why you'd use a platform like Monday. If you're a solo operator with no staff, Monday might not give you a lot of benefit. I tend to find it's best when you have a lot of workflow or you have a lot of different clients that are feeding you in work. If you can set up a form where they can fill out the information, supply the required pieces, then you can easily work through it and then export the content. So Monday is mostly designed and set up and used by creatives. I have a creative industry myself. We use it for workflow management, for photography, video, 3D mapping, website design development, and any sort of little tasks that you have. When you're first setting up your boards, though, you really have to think about your structure, and you have to think about whether it is the right platform for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Monday up and live on our screen. And I suppose the very first question is, what does it cost? So I'm just going to get my screen shared and let's have a look. So on your screen now, you should be seeing about the different pricing for Monday. The most basic one is $11 a seat. Now, keep in mind that the minimum size is 3, which is why I recommended that Monday is best suited if you have a few staff members. So at $11 a seat, you're looking at $33 a month on the minimum. And to go up from that, you don't necessarily have to add more seats if you have more staff, because you get the option to invite guests. So you can just add additional guests using the unique emails. The most basic package gives you just about everything that you need. It just depends on if you want additional things like timeline view, which I'll show you in detail, private boards if they got their own boards, and automations. Automations is probably one of the key features with Monday, and something I'm going to go into detail on. So having the standard one at $14 is quite worthwhile. One thing to note is you can trial it for free and see how it works. When I initially set up my very first boards, I had to make the first version, test it out. Then I had to move over to a second version to really work out whether it was suitable for my business. One of the things that was quite beneficial is that my staff, who all have various different levels of technical expertise, picked up how to use it very quickly in about a 2-hour training session. The other thing was that it has a mobile app that works quite well. So as I mentioned before about guest access, that's those 4 guests on the one seat. Go into the Pro and you get unlimited. You can store your files there, so your finished products, for example. Integrations, automations. There's one other thing that is quite valuable, which is the timeline. I'm just seeing if it's available, which one. So keeping track of your time tracking. So time tracking is only available in the Pro version. So if you're trying to work out how many hours you spend on a job, that one right there is quite useful. So let's jump into Monday and actually have a look at the system. I'm just going to load up my board. Give me one moment. Okay, so we've loaded into Monday. So the first thing to note is you have your dashboard. Your dashboard is very much your top-down view to where you start. Underneath your dashboard, you have boards, and everything's sort of organized into folders. So this is what a board looks like. And you can have multiple columns, multiple layers. So what I can do is I can add a new group, or I can add a new item. So if I click on the downwards facing side here, I can add a group, which will add a new section in here. So your first section could be, for instance, new jobs. Next one could be in process, and the final one could be completed. Monday is definitely one of those platforms where everything can be customized right down to the colors. So we can use a traffic light theme for our system. The next to that is you have your descriptions, which is this section here. So you can put in your job order, for instance, and then you can assign it to the person. So you can set it to who actually has to do the job. So I can put myself in there, and I've previously set up automation on this, so I actually moved it to the different board. So here's my job here because I have my board. So the next section is here is you can have various different columns. So the main one is the person and the status, followed by the different column types. So we can add various different columns based on what we require. So we can add things like a text column, a date. So it could be the start date, the finish date, when it's due by. And we can adjust these and say, okay, you need to start this job at 9 a.m. Statuses can work in various different ways, and you can add multiple ones. So like working on it, stuck, done, completed, and so forth. And depending on how you automate these, you could say that if one of your customers, sorry, one of your staff select stuck, you can send out an email alert to yourself saying, this customer, this employee is stuck and they need additional help. So it's just one of the very cool features with the automation that's built into Monday. When we start building boards though, there's generally two ways to look at it. The first one is looking at it from a staff focused direction, where each of the staff have their own board, and the other one is looking at it from a job focus. And this is going to come down to the size of your organization. A job focused one tends to work if you got multiple staff doing the same type of work, and it's just assigning it to each of the staff in the folder, and when you run out of work, they go back to the folder and grab the next job. A staff focused one works more on the idea that, okay, this staff member, they have the job, and you have a hierarchy where you can assign jobs to different staff members. So in our staff focused one, if I assign myself to be the person in charge of this job, it's going to take it out of this board and feed it into my board, where it's just come in there, and now it's a job that I'm going to be doing. When we have a job focused one, it might be that, okay, we have our jobs that come in, and I'm using a mechanic as the example in this case. You know, Susan's car is in for a 100K service. They've spent an hour on it for time tracking. This is the rego number for the vehicle, person assigned to it, and the status. So currently they're stuck on this job. But if we need a repair, it could jump into a different section saying, okay, this is going from our service team over to our repair team. It could be that it's booked in, or you know, we're awaiting parts. So if we wanted to add a new label there, we could add a new label saying awaiting parts. So So if we set something like awaiting parts, we probably want to notify the parts team now that that vehicle with the reg number 123 ABC is awaiting parts. But we also need a description of what parts it needs so that the employee can actually order those parts. So you could use something like a sub item saying, additional things like, okay, it's got to be diagnosed, it's been done, yes, no, and parts can be ordered. From there, you can also add in updates using conversation. So you could say that, for instance, a fan belt is required and a assembly. But you still need an automation to take it from this board and put it into the parts board. So that's where we start to use the automation. If we click on the automate button, we now have to set up a automation. Now, by default, Monday comes with a variety of different automations, as you can see, or you can custom write your own. So for this particular one, I'm going to custom write my own. So I'm going to say when something happens, so it's all when and course language. I'm going to say every time a status changes, keeping in mind our status column, to something, we're going to say status column changes to awaiting parts. Then we want it to do something. So the first one is what we need to happen, the criteria. And the second one is going to be the action. So we could say that we want it to notify, or we want to move it to item, to a group. We want to send it to a board. So we're going to go more options. And we're going to find the one that says move item to board. So we're going to select the board, and the board is called parts order. We're going to move the item and the details that are going to come across to that board. And then we're going to click on this plus because we also want to notify someone. So whoever the parts manager is. So in this case, I'm just putting myself down. So, and we want to say something along the lines of person, so that'll be me. Rego, this number needs parts. Just something simple. You don't have to make it over complicated. So now when we create that automation and we change this status, which is the column that we selected, to awaiting parts, what's going to happen is this is going to leave this board. It's going to come over into the parts board, as we can see. And then I'm going to get some sort of notification in my inbox to say that I need a part. And I would have thought I would have got that notification. Yeah, but I'm not seeing it. So I probably did something wrong in my automation. So I click on automation. It could just be because I have a block where I don't get notifications after hours, and I'll probably get that notification at 9 a.m. in the morning when the workday starts. So using advanced features. But that's how you would do it. Nope, there is the notification now. So just took a minute to come through. There's my notification, letting me know that I've got to order parts for that vehicle. So the various automations you do can be very simple or they can be very complex based on the needs of your business. But one of the really nice things about Monday is that it's completely customizable. So it can be incredibly complicated or it can be very simple. The boards I've set up tend to be a little bit overly complicated, but we also have a lot of templates that we can work from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click on the add button, and I'm going to choose from templates. And now we have a huge amount of options that we can choose from. So content production, if you're doing marketing, makes sense. Project management, HR, for instance, about recruitment and onboarding, engagement surveys, real estate, various CRMs and management systems, construction. There's a huge amount of different templates here. So let's choose a general contractor solution for the purposes of this example. So it's going to create a new board and new template for us. As you can see, it's down here. And let's have a look. So we've got descriptions at the top. Excuse me. We've got descriptions at the top. We've got a timeline view, which tells us when jobs are getting done. We've got plans. So these are our various files. Punch lists. I don't actually know what that is, but it's probably something in the construction industry. Tasks to be done. Various things all the way across here. And as you can see, it's sort of made on these boards. So it's templated something, and then we can modify it to suit the needs of our business. So as you can see, it's got a type board here. So for instance, you can put it in as a task, in which case I'd probably set up some sort of automation where you select it as task and use task file. It's got who it's assigned to, what type of trade it's for, status, so it's using the stuck ones, need more info, verified approved, timeline and when the job's going to get done, and also has a tracking system here for letting you know when it was updated last. So that is very useful if you want to see who was playing with the job last. Then it's got a dependency where you can say one job's going to get done first before another job can get done. So this one is actually reasonably complicated, but they can be simple. So you can also use form functions, where you can set up a form that you can send to your clients. So let's just preview this one now. So this is a lunch order form or product order form, where you can put in, what would you like to buy? And if you fill in this information, apples, and pick up order, very exciting. As soon as I submit this, if I have a look in my main table, I'm now going to have that order in there. So this is useful for when you have various different types of customers that you work with, rather than having to email you and send you various job requests and book things into your calendar and so forth. What you can do is you can design a form that you can send to your customers, and they can fill in all the information and all the requirements and everything they need from you, that then populates automatically into your table. So this is what I did for my company. So details of my company is it's a marketing agency and production company, and my customers will send through their orders and it will pre-fill into the various columns. And then depending on what type of job it is, it will then automate into the various staff members that need to do that work. And then they do that work and there's a final checkoff stage, and then it gets sent back to the customer. So rather than having to manually sign and manually fill in all the information and write out job cards and job sheets for my staff, they can just open up their Monday and they see exactly the jobs they're going to do that day, and then they can go do it. And if they have any problem, they flag it, and one of the managers can then come and assist them on the job. So the various forms and automation, as long as you can get your customers to use it, can really benefit how you do your workflow. Starting from the top down, you really just got to decide how you actually want to run your business and what's the most appropriate way for your customers to be able to access the data at the end, and how much automation and how much manual checking you want to do. Let's have a little bit of a chat about automations. So there's various different apps you can plug in as well. And if you can think about it, it is probably here. And they're also adding new ones here, so I'm not always sure what's here. So you can connect your Outlook to it, so you can transform your emails into action items. That one's pretty cool. That one's built in, actually really cool. Bottlenecks, so you can see how fast, how slow your projects are going, your funnels for your sales and marketing. There's so many different apps and options that are available here, just depending on what your needs are. Team management, so you can connect your Zoom to it, so you can set up various Zoom meetings. And when you're setting up your boards here, you can manually set up automations where it will reschedule tasks over and over. So if we go to add new automation, we can go to something like a recurring task. So could be every week on a Tuesday and a Friday at 12 p.m. We need to create an item for our team meeting and assign everyone that needs to be in that team meeting. What will happen then is that at that time, every single week, we'll assign a new job into all those staff members' boards saying that it's time for the weekly team meeting. So you're going to have it set up so that it assigns all the marketing team or all the production team to have their weekly meeting. So rather than going and manually setting it in calendars, and you can also have a feedback where you can say if you're available for the meeting or not. There's various options that you can actually set up in Monday just to make life easier. When you start looking at workflow management, the easiest way to optimize your business and to get more time out of your staff is to take away all those tedious little repetitive tasks. And a lot of that is that little administration where you're going to be clicking on the same thing, you'll be filling out the same thing. So the more data you can get someone else to do, e.g. customers filling in job cards, sending it through to your board and then assigning your staff to it, the less fiddling around they have to do. And generally we've found that the information is a lot more accurate because it's coming directly from the customer. So if the wrong information is there, it's on the customer. Let's have a look at it. There's various integrations. So you can integrate things like your LinkedIn, so you can send your post directly from your Monday. Microsoft Teams, so you can connect with your various teams. Dropbox, this is one that we use quite extensively because we have all our files on there. So that's where we do our storage. MailChimp, so you can automate out your emails. Slack, Asana, all those other various platforms that do similar things to Monday, but aren't Monday. The key thing to think about with Monday is that it's very customized, and it comes down to just how much customization you need and what you're going to be doing with it. So if you don't have a clear idea on what your current workflow is and how it can be optimized, then that's your first step before you actually purchase or start trialing something like Monday. The reporting and analysis is something that's very valuable. We use like time trackers to see how long our staff take on various jobs so that we can work out our profit margins on each and everything. So that's the various marketplace apps that are available, and some of them are free in that they're already included in the price, and some of them are additional costs. Additional cost ones tend to be ones that come from outside of your organization. Okay, so this point in time, does anyone have any questions around anything that I've spoken about so far? Hopefully there's not too much confusion there. So if you are watching live, you can use the question and answer function and the chat function down the bottom for anyone that has joined this webinar late. I'll give you a moment for that. Okay, it sounds as if we don't have any questions currently. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through a little bit more on the various different tasks and setups that you can do with Monday. And for this, what we might actually show you the basic training. So when the very first time you set up Monday, there will actually be a board here showing you how to actually do everything. So your own little tutorial. There's various little help channels and information you can get, and Monday do seem to be very proactive of trying to help you. But there's literally a step-by-step on how to do every single thing that you need to do on Monday, from the very basics to the very complicated, and with links to each of the different videos on YouTube. So I do find that useful. Down here on the left-hand side, something that I do want to point out is that you do have some options as well to invite team members to your page. And you get a few different options. So you can invite them to be a member where they have access and do various things, and you can invite them to be a viewer. So it's a look only, don't touch. Each of these boards can also be set up by hovering over it, clicking the three dots. And you can change the board type to a shareable or private. If I change this board to private, the third option is a main board. Up here, you can also invite people. So you can invite your entire team or just select people to your board. If the board is a shareable board, then you gain the ability to invite guests. So you can invite people from outside your organization, for instance, like contractors or freelancers or clients, to have access to your board. So with our particular system, we have our management team have access to the boards, and then all our staff are set up as guests. Guests can't create new boards, but they can access all the boards that are there. In addition to that, down here on the left-hand side, you've got various search functions, but at the very bottom here, you have your icon for your profile. In here, again, you have the various options, but you also have your teams options. So this is where you can set up who is the management team, who are the guests for your business. So you can add them and create the accounts for them. You can also, if I find the right thing, the admin. So through the admin, you can set your various accounts, customizations for things like your logos, so you can actually personalize it. Your various users, various security sign-ins and so forth, which I'm not giving away any personal information there, so that's good. Figured I'd better check that one. We also have your billing, your usage, so you can see how active you actually are on Monday. So quite heavy usage, especially with our storage, and your permissions, which is only part of the enterprise. So you can set it up so that various boards or access or systems can only be done by certain people. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at a real world example now. So this is the setup that I use for my company, my marketing company. As you can see, this is actually version number 2, because our first version wasn't as suitable. And these are all the boards we have. So we have our top board, which is where all our jobs get fed into. We have a board that's just behind the scenes, all the behind the scenes shots that our staff take. We have a recurring work template. So that's just all the work that we know that we're going to be doing every single week. It takes the data that's in there and feeds it into the top board, which is then assigned into our staff boards. And we have our various staff boards. So each of the staff will have the various projects and work that we've got to do. For bigger work, we have a project board, which all the team are in. We have our billing board, which is where all the information goes before it goes to accounting to get billed. We have a list of all our clients, a list of all our leads. We have our HR board, which has like our requests, policies and procedures, like leave, holidays, logins for various things. And then I have a few duplicates, team suggestions, where our team can put requests and ideas to help the business grow. We have our timekeeping boards, we have a board down here, which is a PA board, which is for my personal assistant, which is a private board for just her and I, because it contains things that are sometimes outside the scope of work. Then we have a few forms that we use for various things that get sent out to our clients. So for instance, content form has email, phone, comments, files, dates to be posted, and in this case, it's actually for a shopping center. So we have a shop field. Once the form comes in here, it loads the job into our top board. So I'm just going to click on one of these boards. So this is the board setup that we have for our video team. And as you can see, they've got various jobs that are in various states. So this one here is ready for review, so it's ready to be looked at. This one's scheduled for a job for tomorrow. Various jobs that are in pre-production that he's got coming up. And then he's got production, which is jobs being shot. And he's got post-production, so everything to be edited and work that he's going to be doing. It's got details on the clients, locations, the statuses of the various jobs. And when the job's complete, they'll sign it through to management, who will check over it. Then finally at the bottom down here, it's got miscellaneous, where it just keeps a various lists of tasks and ideas of what's going to be done, suggestions on things to buy and so forth. So that's how this board is organized. That's how the whole workflow works. So from the top down, new jobs will come in, unassigned, sign it, and it manages the workflow before it goes into the next board. When you're working out how you're going to design your boards, I tend to find it's best to actually go to a physical whiteboard and start creating hierarchy charts. Who needs connections to what? Which staff members are going to have access to it? If you're a solo operator and you're going to be using Monday, then you're probably going to be looking at various different boards to manage different types of tasks. So you might have a task set just for one client, and then you have various boards, everything that you got to do. You can also set up things like reminders that give you alerts when jobs have been completed by certain due dates. You can set up things where each time they call, you can log the call data, and then you know what's happening, where jobs are progressing. I know in the early days of trying to be a solo operator, trying to actually manage jobs and remember exactly all the work you had to do for all your various clients got complicated. So I wish I actually had a system like this from the very beginning where I could have everything in a nice task flow. How you set up your boards though is really down to how you operate your business and what type of business you're in. Monday might be a suitable choice for you, it might not. My recommendations is once you have an understanding of your workflow, sign up for an account and give it a try. Test it out and see if it works for you. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to give everyone the opportunity to ask some questions. Okay, so the next steps. If you want to consider something like Monday that you want an expert to have a look at it and have a look at your business, then I recommend you sign up for the Digital Solutions Program. For $44, you can get 7 hours of direct support where you can learn a little bit more about managing your business and different workflows and tools that you can use. But you also get 3 hours of direct one-to-one support where we can talk about your business. We can help you set up your boards. I can help you optimize it. If this is something that's going to suit you, get in touch. You can use this QR code that is behind me. It has been behind my shoulder all of this webinar. Scan that and it'll take you through to sign on up. Otherwise, go to our Business Station Digital Solutions website and follow the steps. If you need any help, do feel free to reach out. I've been Fahey for Business Station, and this has been automating your workflow with Monday.